Hello and welcome to episode 21 of the Chronicles with us, the Red Devil Chronicle. My name's Andy.
My name's Nick.
And this week, from Wanfield to Waynfield, 4-4 for Van Hal against Liverpool, United chat coming up next. Here we go then, we're back in the studio, and that of course means one thing. We've got producer Joe through the glass and Nick to the right of me for the new year.
New Nick.
I'm not sure if that's a good thing or not, but
we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Welcome back. It's good to have you back as part of the show. It's been a bit of a different one doing the Express shows for the last couple of weeks. So
you've been lonely.
I have been, and I'm very interested to hear your opinions on some big debates this week. So let's plunge straight in. Of course, it was a Sunday game. It was Liverpool at Anfield. It was Liverpool 0, Manchester United 1, of course.
Don't know how.
And I'm not sure either, Nick. I'm going to start with you. Let's kick off the show.
Yep.
Let's not gloss over the game. Yeah, it is papering over cracks for now. But was that the worst standard of game you've ever seen between Liverpool and Manchester United in general?
I don't think I'm old enough to know that. It's one of the worst I've ever seen for a derby. You expect to see quality. Last year we saw, obviously, Matters won the goal. That was getting played over and over again on Sky and whatnot. But, yeah, it was an awful game from both sides. Liverpool didn't really create any clear-cut opportunities. A lot of them were shots from far out that just, went miles wide. But we didn't create anything at all, not even a shot or two.
Didn't turn up again on the day, did we?
No.
And yet we nick it at the end, which is perhaps a sign of Sir Alex Ferguson's, old days. Of course, we used to be known as that team that sometimes did play boring football, Joe, under Sir Alex, but we did get the wins in those tough games. So was it important in that respect just to get the 3 points?
It's just, I wish we had come into the studio last week because it proves everything that I've been thinking about United, that if we're looking where our issues are, you've got to kind of look at the midfield. I know it highlights it against Newcastle because when we attack, we can't. There's no structure, so we're either a team that defends and gets a late goal, or we're a team that goes and plays exciting football and just draws or loses. So at the moment, we need a bit of structure. I think that's where the issue is. I think it's not kind of we were looking at the wrong places. I mean, you look when we commit players forward, they were good enough, but when we take that away from the team, then we're just awful.
Interesting point that Joe makes, and I'm going to fire this at you, Nick. In that sense, I mean, we haven't heard your thoughts yet on the Newcastle game. Obviously, it changed dramatically from the way we approached that game compared to Liverpool at Anfield. What are we doing wrong? Why are we not able to address that balance after Louis van Gaal has worked with the squad for such a long time?
I think it's inconsistency in his selection. Every game we seem to change shape slightly, or we bring a youngster in who wasn't in the previous game. I don't think we've had a run of 10 games where the same team have played. Obviously, albeit injuries and suspensions have hampered that. But yeah, there's no consistency in the team that we selected. Under Fergie, even under Moyes at times, we had 5, 6, 7 games where we'd have the same team just to try and build a little bit of momentum. But we don't really do that anymore.
Not so much, no. That game, actually, that we played at Anfield was the first time in a very long time where we actually picked the same start
team.
in 11, yeah. So as you say, consistency in terms of personnel has been a bigger issue, perhaps even more so than the system we're choosing to use, because he seems fairly set.
I thought we were poorer in the Newcastle game than we were in the Liverpool game.
I'm inclined to agree with you, but obviously Newcastle are a much poorer team than Liverpool. And we perhaps got away with one at Liverpool. I don't think on another day, if they had Coutinho or Sturridge in their lineup, we'd have won that.
There was talk before the match that if we got battered against Liverpool, he would have gone there and then that day.
And I agree that would have been the case.
Yeah, so you're constantly on a knife edge at the moment. Like, we're one hammering away from a new manager. Or if we go out and batter one of our big rivals, we would have won that game 4-0 and it would be very convincing. Suddenly everyone's on the LVG bandwagon again. So it's constant knife edge at the moment.
The waves do come and go, and it is that inconsistency in general, Joe, that is a big issue for us going forward. Did you feel, though, in general, the game between Liverpool and Manchester United, previously arguably one of the biggest games in English football, was now just a sign of two teams on the decline? Are we going backwards at a rate that we can't get back?
You'd hope not. I mean, it's tough. I'm not going to say yes, because I don't want to think it, but it's in the back of the mind. I think it's in the back of the mind of every fan. I think we're all thinking, how far is this going to go before we make drastic changes, or are we going to do exactly what we've just said? I mean, it's one of them. I think that we're not too far gone. I think it's
Yeah,
rescuable at this stage.
People are getting really carried away. Liverpool haven't won the league in 27 years.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to do that.
They haven't got the stadium we've got. They've not got the global fan base we have. They haven't got the funds available to us. They didn't sign a £750 million Adidas deal. They've not got the infrastructure in place.
There's still some doubt creeping in, though. There's not. I can't say that I'm just going to be happy with it. I think 3 years' time. We said that 2 years ago. We're not there, are we?
And you said it yourself, Nick. You put the question out there only last week.
Yeah.
Is this United's biggest 12 months in their history? And certainly within recent history.
In terms of footballing,
absolutely.
That question obviously got completely taken out of proportion with relations to what happened in Munich.
Of course.
So, which was, I think, was a bit stupid for people to say. But anyway.
But in terms of
in the Premier League history, this is probably United's most important summer coming up.
Absolutely is. And the managerial decisions that we make this summer of whether we let Van Gaal see out his contract or not, and who we bring in if he does go, and the personnel that comes with that into the club that Woodward and the board can attract, if anyone, could define United going forward for a very long time now. Because you look out there on Sunday, and what really worries me is that there was only one player really on the pitch that did have a bit of fight in them against Liverpool from United's side. And that person was also our worst player on the pitch and very close to being sent off on seveal occasions, and that was Marouane Fellaini.
Yeah.
He was the only one who put a bit of spark and a bit of bite into the tackle, and that seemed to be what was missing for me.
Honestly, I'm not his biggest fan. I don't think any of us are his biggest fan.
No.
I don't think he's a United player, but what he does bring to the table, he roughs teams up. Some teams do not like playing against him. He's obviously very aggressive, very physical, and it does bring something to the table. But he's the type of player that you bring on when you need him. He's not the type of player you start in huge games, and he shouldn't be starting in huge games.
I mean, it's probably the first game he's actually played. Well, he started that we've won.
Well, he essentially got us top four last season with the away goal at Palace.
He did.
So he has been a key member of the squad. Like United fans don't like that just because he's a bit of a donkey at times, but he has brought a lot to the table in the last 18 months.
I just don't think he's part of the way we play. I don't think you can ever make him a part of the way we play. We've seen him put it. I don't like the role he's been played in for one. It's too much of a commanding role for just a god-awful player.
If he was happy, though, a question for both of you two, if he was happy to obviously stay at Man United, but we signed some quality players in the summer, and he's happy with a sort of in-and-out 10-minute, 20-minute job here and there, getting put up front when we need a goal, would you be inclined to keep him, or would you still get rid?
I sigh every time I see his name being put on the board, even when I see his number.
I can see Andy here. I'm glad that you both agree.
I'm looking out at them on the touchline with the man holding the sign up, and if I see his number, I sigh, and I think, well, this is just a waste of a ticket now, because you just know what's going to happen. It's just going to be back four, pass it around, hit it at Fellaini, and hope something scrambles off him when we score.
I think he was a good player in a very average. Everton
we
team,
said at the start of the season, is it plan A, or plan B, or should it just not be a plan? And we all agreed it shouldn't be a plan.
It shouldn't be a plan. No, not for the way United want to go. And if we are going to progress forward and not go backwards any further into the abyss and follow Liverpool, then we absolutely cannot keep hold of a player like Fellaini, because managers like Louis van Gaal will go back to that. They will refer to type when things, backs are against the wall, when we're struggling, it will always be Fellaini as
They'll always look at that large afro on the bench and think, what if?
That's my answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Now, Nick, we talked on Sunday, we watched the game together, about stats being deceiving. And I think that was very clear in a point you've mentioned very early on in the show about the number of chances that Liverpool created.
It's a complete con, by Sky, by a lot of the pundits and commentary out there. The award, De Gea, the man of the match. He wasn't amazing in that game. He made saves that you'd expect any Premier League goalkeeper to make. But the award, Dave, man of the match, and I think a lot of it stems from they just want United to be made out worse than what they are.
I agree, and there's definite agenda by certain individuals.
Jamie Carragher,
certainly being one of them. Yeah, absolutely. 19 shots Liverpool did have on goal at the weekend, but like you were saying earlier on, a lot of them were pot shots from distance. None of them really troubled David De Gea. Yes, he made one or two good saves.
I think one clear chance from Henderson when he broke one on one.
Yeah, and he put it wide.
I thought that was a really good chance, and he put it wide. Yeah, so that was really the only time I could remember that he really did cut us open.
It's a sort of match you just expect them to not give one. You just would. There's no reason to give a man of the match.
I didn't understand why Liverpool were shooting so much. It's like 30, 40 yards out against the best keeper in the league, and they're just shooting.
But I agree with the point you're making, though, Joe. I think David De Gea was given it purely because there was no one outfield that was worthy of getting it.
In that case, you just don't give a man of the match because there isn't one. If there's no man of the match, then why give one? Because
in your opinion, who was the best outfield player, Liverpool and United?
I think
I'd have to say Fellaini. Just because he didn't get sent off and he roughed Liverpool up a bit.
Do you know what? After that conversation, I'm not even gonna. I'm not going there, Nick.
In terms of how bad the game was, who would you give it to, Joe? That's what I want to know.
The thing is, as a team, Liverpool, I think, edged it as a team.
They played the better football,
but individually, there was no one who stood out at all from either side, was it? No. And as I say, there was only Fellaini who put any sort of bite and meaning into the game.
I wouldn't. And he wasn't great.
No, he was awful.
So who do you...
Well, I think that's why they gave it De Gea.
Yeah.
I think that's just the conclusion they came to. But if you look at Liverpool in general, I was having a look into this, yes, they are second this season for the number of shots on goal they've had, and also second for the number of chances they've created, but there's only one team worse than them in the league for conversion. Liverpool's conversion is 10.3%. So what we're saying is... Yeah. So what we're essentially saying is... that, yes, Liverpool do create chances, and that's probably what keeps Klopp happy, but they're so wasteful. There isn't any talent in that area of the pitch.
I don't want to spend a while talking about them, but there was a lot of times during that match where they were in really good positions and they had a pot shot, or they just tried, a 40-yard scream and it never came off. And I thought on the day if they calmed down a bit and took control of the situation, they would have won that game.
I agree with you. Here's a stat, though, that doesn't lie, Joe. Louis van Gaal has won all 4 games played in the Premier League against Liverpool. Do you think that his managerial experience, even with the problems he's had, has helped us improve against the big teams?
No way. It's the same. I mean, that's just...
We have got 11 points this season against the big 6, more than any other team.
It's fantastic, but have United not always done that?
There was a struggle when Moyes took over.
Well, I mean, that was obvious.
And
but
towards the end of Ferguson's days, you could argue it was heading that way.
We do tend to slip up, though,
I think
teams.
We've always had a problem against, like Nick just said, Leicester teams. We've always been up for it. I think there's just a different mentality for the players going into the game. They've all got quality, but they all go in there to a bigger game with wanting to win it. But when they're playing against smaller clubs, I think we just lose the ambition.
I think that's new. I don't think we had that under Fergie. I think that's come from Moyes. I think we slipped up a lot against Moyes. I think we lost the fear factor. Van Gaal's come in, and obviously Swansea, one of the bogey teams of recent years. And I don't think we have any fear factor. That's why I think we do well against the bigger teams, because obviously then we're not scared of them, they're not scared of us. But when teams like Norwich come to Old Trafford these days, they have a go, whereas 10 years ago they never dream about it.
At least we've learned a bit more about Louis. I mean, going around calling people fat, I mean, it must help in the training room.
Joke.
I like to Custis
must rail the players up. He must just go in there, throw insults and hope for the best.
Neil Custis' response
only took him 2 days
good.
to reply, but
it was a good response when he got there, though. He said he might only need to lose half a stone to match our points.
For every pound he loses, we've got to match the points.
I liked that. Well played. I'm going to go on to an interesting stat here that I was looking into myself today.
You're all stats today.
I'm all stats today.
I can't stand
We've
stats.
had a deceiving one, we've had an honest one, and this is an interesting one for me because this cements a real change in Louis' mentality for me personally. I want to know what your thoughts are on this. But Manchester United have had less than 50% possession in a league game on just 2 occasions of the 22 we've played this season, and they were against Newcastle and Liverpool.
Yep.
What has changed with Louis van Gaal? Why is he suddenly letting other teams have more of the ball?
He's reacting to what the fans want, isn't he?
Is he now pandering to what we want?
Yeah, but I think it's a sign of a man who's pretty desperate. What manager of a global club who's won what Louis van Gaal has won suddenly changes his ideology for the past 18 months, 2 years, and then suddenly drops possession football and just goes gun-ho, at Newcastle, at Liverpool. I think it's a sign of desperation. I don't think it's anything to be welcomed. I think it's a man who doesn't know what he wants anymore from his team.
And do you think going forward, Joe, this is something that's here to stay now? Do you think Louis van Gaal has changed permanently, or is this just a temporary thing to get fans back on side?
I don't know. I mean, for the first time ever, we saw Louis van Gaal had legs.
Yes, so, he did stand up.
So I think it's for the fans. I don't think he did that for himself. No, I don't think he did it for the players. He definitely stood up just to get on telly, get the fans behind him, give a reason for us to cheer on, because that's what we need. It's what we're used to, seeing someone on the touchline, and it's about time we kind of got it, I think. But at the same time, we all know it was all false and a bit fake, and it was just for us to make us happy of it.
There was United fans that were happy with the 3-3 away at St James's Park. They were happy with it. I was happy. It was beyond me that.
I wasn't happy. I'd rather see something like that and win. I mean, that was.
It was a great game for the neutral, but for us, it was appalling.
It was another awful away.
It was atrocious.
Yeah.
It makes me think. I think there's something in the air that week. The amount of goals that went in the Premier League. I don't think it was down to us. It must have just been a freak accident that we scored 3 in a game.
Might have been a freak accident then that Captain Wayne Rooney has been back involved in the goals again. Of course, we've given him a fair enough stick, as of the rest of the fans, with the way he's played for not just this season, but arguably the last 3-4. But he has scored 4 in his last 4 games. I think I was reading something like the first time since March 2012 that he scored 4 consecutive games for Manchester United.
When did he sign his new $300,000 a week deal?
Well, it'd have been
2014, was it?
No, it'd have been the year after.
Okay.
2013, so he's been lazy since then, essentially.
You won't find anything on the paper. It just says stat over and over again.
But, yeah, I mean, is that a sign that Wayne Rooney is building momentum back for the squad? I mean, if you look at it now, I know performances have been poor, but we are unbeaten in 5 in all competition. That has to say something. Can we build momentum going forward? Can we build a platform, or is it going to be a step backward
Rooney's
again next
back.
week?
It's fine. Everyone, stop panicking.
No,
we've got our captain back.
Can we build a platform from it, though, Nick? In terms of form going forward as a team?
Oh, as a team, yeah, definitely. To think Rooney's back, no, he's not. But
we're going to go into this in a little bit more detail.
But he is scoring. But yeah, it is going to create obviously positive momentum.
Me ring bell by then. I'll have to.
The team is scoring. That win over Liverpool, no matter how bad the performance was, could be huge for the dressing room. So yeah, you could definitely build momentum from that. We could go on a run now.
Well, you've heard our thoughts on the Liverpool game. A couple of fans' views that came in during the week as well. At Cogsy666, awful performance, but the result was all that mattered today. 3 out of 10 he gave. At Big C75, poor performance again, but we beat the Scousers, so who cares about performance? 5 out of 10 from him. And at C Clay 1978 United goes with a 6 out of 10 performance. He only gets a 6, but 10 out of 10 for Jones and Rojo.
Yeah, one thing I did love when we were watching the game, obviously it panned to Rocco and Jones and Carrick in the away end with all the United fans, and then it panned to Danny Sturridge sat in the executive box for Liverpool. I just thought that was brilliant from
yeah, well played. Big shout out for Jones and Rojo in that respect. And he also
Carrick
mentions
somewhere, I believe.
Yeah, Carrick was in there as well, absolutely. And Chris ends his comment by saying, "Oh, and Rooney firing again." And with that, we're going to move on to the fan takeover. Chris is going to join us on the line. We've got a couple of guests lined up, and we're going to discuss Rooney and a couple of other big questions around Manchester United. That's in the fan takeover coming up next. Okay, I think we've held off long enough then. It's time to get down to business. It's Wayne's World is how we're going to kick off the fan takeover this week. We asked you on Twitter this week, is Wayne Rooney back? Now, Nick, this one might shock you. 76% of fans that voted on this, and you already know what I'm going to say, said yes, Wayne Rooney is back. Now, I can see you despairing. What are your thoughts in response to that?
Colo Torre did him for pace.
He did. That's a fair response. There you go. That's all you need to know.
No, he's scored a few brilliant goals. Don't get me wrong. I always maintain he's still a great player.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he's nowhere near what he was, and he's only going to gradually get worse. He's 31 this year. Is he back? No.
Is he back on any level? I mean,
yeah, obviously, yeah, he's back on a better level. I'm not going to say he's the same Rooney he was 7-8 years ago.
Here's my issue, though. With the mileage on the clock and with the way Wayne Rooney performed as a youngster and with the injury record that he had as a youngster, I personally think Wayne Rooney's best days are already behind him anyway.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I don't think you're going to see him get back to that level, but
it's what else he brings to the table.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And although his performances haven't been great, he has got back to goal-scoring form, and that's got to be a positive.
Yeah, he's been last 3 games. Arguably, he has been better performing, but that doesn't obviously accommodate for the last 3 seasons. So from that aspect, I'd still look to get rid personally. That's my opinion. But
Nick looks to get rid. We've got a man on the line who certainly is not looking to get rid
I hope he didn't hear
of
that.
Wayne Rooney. We've got Chris on the line, regular to the show, a great contributor to the channel. Chris, it's a pleasure to have you back. Happy New Year to you.
And you guys, and you.
Thank you very much.
It's been a while, hasn't it?
It has been a very long time, Chris, and we've got a bit of catching up to do with you. And you bring, you've been brought in at an ideal time by producer Joe into this one, and I think Joe's going to get involved in this as well.
I mean, I said to him as he picked up, I said, "I'm going to need your help on this one, Chris." I said, "I'm 2-on-2 at least. I won't be on my own."
Well, here we go then. Chris, I think we know your answer already to this one, but we heard that 76% of fans said that Wayne Rooney is back after his 4-4. Were you one of those that said yes by any chance?
I did say yes, of course.
Absolutely.
I don't think he's back to his best by any means, but he's certainly back. I put a tweet out there in reply to your question, and I think it's all down to the captaincy role. And since he took over the captaincy role for England and United, I think he may have taken on too much. You know, with a lot of the young players with the England team, they certainly look up to him. And I think the same may have happened at United this year, with a lot of the young players coming into the side, both new signings and obviously from the youth team. And they idolise him, and similar to myself.
And us, we know the feeling only too well, Chris.
And because he came into the national team and obviously a huge club here at United at such a young age, I think he's maybe taken too much on in maybe helping these kids through. What do you think about that?
Interesting point, Chris. And I mean, yes, there's a lot of responsibility in taking on a captain's role, especially with some of his history, with his behaviour when he was a kid. But, he stepped up to that mark. And I think as a player of Wayne Rooney's quality, you have to aspire to be at that level, surely. And with that, he has to accept, with that sort of responsibility, he has to step his own game up. He's not an idol to these players for no reason. And so, as well as just getting back to scoring goals, he needs to be leading by example on the pitch. We hear only too well as a captain off the pitch, superb, no arguments with that. He's a brilliant captain in the way that he treats the team. But on the pitch, even though he has got back to scoring form, he's not getting in the right areas considering he's our centre forward. And his performances, other than the Newcastle game arguably, haven't been that much better in my opinion. So
I think his future lies in a different position.
Possibly so. In that respect, though, in response to your question, Chris, I think he has taken on a lot of responsibility, but I still don't think in his performances, arguably because perhaps he's not being played in the ideal position for him anymore, he still isn't doing it for me.
What, even recently?
I think fans are getting misled from 3 years of poor performances to a couple of games where he's been a little bit better and just getting carried away with themselves.
Just out of interest, Chris, of the last 4 games he scored in, how many of those performances would you say Wayne Rooney's played well in?
Yeah, fair point. Maybe 1 or 2.
I'd give you the Newcastle game.
The Liverpool game, he didn't really do anything, but to be fair to Rooney, he wasn't really provided.
I Liverpool game.
I thought for long periods he went missing.
Yeah, but didn't all 22 players go missing?
We've said this, Chris, and that's criticism to all parties. But we're talking about captain of the club. We're talking about supposedly one of our best players, someone that people still call world class. A world class player doesn't go missing in that game. That's the game that they step up in when everyone else is failing to do so.
Yeah, I thought the game was poor all round, and
shocking
I thought space was lacking. But, one thing I did tweet, and I actually got panned for it, and I was actually slating Rooney, was...
We've all been there, mate, don't worry.
Nick's been there very often.
I've been there a lot, don't you?
And that was, we've gone on about it, and it was really shown up by a 34-year-old centre-half who I think is absolutely diabolical. And that was...
Was that Toure when he paced him?
It couldn't be. Toure outpaced him. He could not be.
We mentioned this earlier, Chris.
It's really bad, isn't it? It's a sad state of affairs.
I actually got criticised for it. Oh, he had 3 yards to gain. I thought.
I genuinely believe I could have Colo Toure in a race.
I think I've rang the wrong Chris. I was hoping for something more than this. But
a question for all of you then. Do you think Rooney could potentially be better if we played him in, say, a midfield 3?
I'll let you go with that one first, Chris.
I do, actually. because I think his range.
That's where I think his future
is what we're missing.
If he's going to stay at the club, which obviously is more than likely,
I would have thought so. Yeah.
Then possibly operating him in a sort of a midfield three with someone like Herrera and Schneiderlin, maybe.
That's exactly what.
Sounds like a lovely midfield three, to be fair.
Obviously, Rooney himself has got to accept that because he does want to break that record. But then are we playing to Rooney's ego, or are we going to play?
He's got to accept his play for the team.
He's played that role before, and I think he's played that role quite well.
I just don't think he's got the pace to play up front or the number 10 role anymore.
10 role maybe, up front definitely not.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But Chris, do you think benching Wayne Rooney against Stoke actually benefited him? It was something that we were calling for a couple of weeks before it happened, and he did get benched in that game, and then he's come back. Obviously, he's got 4 in his last 5 games that he's played since the Stoke game. Did it do him good, letting him know that he's not indispensable?
I think it must have done. It'd certainly be a wake-up call for any player, especially club captain. And I think it may have been a good idea. I think it may have been slightly too late.
Possibly.
I think it should have been done maybe 3-4 games prior to that. But that's Van Gaal for you.
Always just that one step behind, isn't he?
Yeah, well, it seems to be. Yeah, maybe he has been listening to the show.
Maybe, yeah. Well, we've been trying to convince him to listen to the show, so maybe he's caught one of them. But I'm going to move on to LVG. I think that's enough on Wayne Rooney for 1 week. We're not managed to get the bell ringed in by Joe, so we've obviously done okay.
It's gone missing.
On Louis van Gaal, Chris, we asked this week as well on Monday. Have you accepted that Louis van Gaal is staying until the end of the season? Now, 68% of fans voting on this said yes. Cogsy 666, as we well know, he will be staying. If they didn't sack him after that appalling December, they certainly won't be sacking him now. What do you think on this, Chris? Have you accepted he's staying till summer, and beyond that, where do you think it goes for Van Gaal now?
I think he'll stay till the end of his contract now. To be honest, I think the power shift at United. You've got the Glazers at the top, you've got Edward and Van Gaal on one side, you've got Charlton in the middle of the board of directors who wants. He won't have Jose Mourinho there, and then you've got Ferguson and Giggs on the other. I think they're all fighting in different directions, and I think that's probably what's destroying our chances of getting certain players in, certain managers in. I think they're just all pulling in different directions, and it's not doing any of us any good.
Might well be as good a case to wipe out the board as well as the management, Chris.
I was about to say that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but where do you start? And who's going to make
the top down?
But do the Glazers know who to bring in? We had David Gill, who was fantastic. Ferguson,
that's what I was about to mention.
Amazing relationship.
When did the transfer problems start? If you think back to when we signed Van Persie, that was a Hail Mary call, I think, from Fergie at the time.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah.
So the transfers have been a long-term problem. I think a lot of it does stem from David Gill's exit.
Yeah, and Woodward coming in to do the job.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Everybody's got different ideas. Some we agree with, some we don't. And I'm trying to sit on the fence here, by the way. I just think he's just got one idea, and that's the Galactico model. And unfortunately for us, we can't attract the Galacticos.
We certainly can't, no, for whatever reason. And we're certainly not going to get any more popular playing the style of football we have, Chris. But
would you come to United currently?
I wouldn't, no.
You got people like Lewandowski, they're just happy.
It's not just footballing issues that you have with Manchester United, it's geographic problems as well. Like, would you rather play
we're sat right near it.
Beautiful city like Barcelona, or would you want to play on a Sunday afternoon in rainy Manchester? There's not just, these are the problems you're fighting with, and a lot of the Latin players who are very good, i.e. Neymar, who we've been linked with, is he really going to leave Barcelona? No,
can't see it.
You never know, do you?
It's a style of football and a league as well. It's not just it's not just a lifestyle. Not a lot of South American players have succeeded in English football.
It's very true. Yeah, it's a good point.
Can you name a successful Brazilian for Manchester United apart from barring Rafael
Anderson?
I was going to go with Cleberson.
I can name a lot that weren't successful.
Yeah, this is. I don't think maybe Brazilians aren't the way forward for United. Argentinians don't seem to be. Like Gabriel Heinz, he wanted to go to Liverpool, so.
And Di Maria had no spine, so there you go. But Chris, do you think United have come out of their tough patch? I mean, we went through a rough spell of it. Do you think we've come out on the other side? I was asking this to Nick in the early stages of the show. Can we build a platform on what we've done now, 5 unbeaten? Do you think it's the sea's going to level out for us a bit now?
What you've got to consider, prior to this bad patch of December, we were top of the league in November.
Yeah.
Or top side. I'm going to put that a different way. Top of a poor league in November.
Yeah, an awful league. Yeah.
Why? I can't believe we're only 7 points adrift.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is it. We're still in there.
It's exactly, and I wasn't saying that sort of like the first week of this month. I was thinking, we're out of the top 4. Let's concentrate on Europa League. I may have changed my ideas. I still think we can mount a challenge, if I'm being brutally honest.
Well, the thing Van Hal agrees with you.
The problem that we have, LVG fans like us, players, their opinions change like the wind. Like I ran a poll before Rooney had those 3 or 4 games where he scored a few, and 70% wanted to get rid, and now 70% want to keep him. And then LVG a month ago was saying we can't win the league this year, and now he's saying we're going to challenge for the title. So you're on a boat that's constantly rocking. There's never just a plain sight of where people want to be. So
there isn't any end goal to it, is there? Destination unknown. But Chris, with the way we have been playing in terms of our style of play, another debate that we did open up this week on Twitter was a classic one that we often have as United fans. This whole thing about would you rather win games or would you rather play exciting football? Now, obviously, we've done a bit of both this week. We've won against Liverpool in a dreadful game, and we've drawn against Newcastle in a very exciting game. Now, 68% of the fans voting on this vote went with winning games. Chris, where do you stand on this? Would you rather do it the Chelsea way from last season and just win games and get your job done? Or would you rather see entertaining football, potentially with results like 3-3 away at Newcastle thrown in?
Because we're out of the top 4, it's all about winning games. Let's just say we were comfortably in second, but not ever going to get first, I'd say, let's try and win games attractively. But because top 4 and the money involved in the Champions League is that vital, we've got to win games.
Yeah, I'm completely with you on that. I've always been of the opinion personally, if you win games, it breeds confidence, and in doing so, you'll then see the performances come. That's always been the way I've seen it.
For every boring 1-0 win we have, there might be a 3 or 4-0 in between all that, which is a lot better than 10 0-0 draws on the trot.
It certainly is, absolutely. Now, has there been a big confidence issue in the squad in general, Chris? Is that what's caused us to stumble so frequently throughout the season?
I think that's a great question.
I try.
You do try. I think confidence has been an issue with certain players at certain periods of time. Memphis, started quite well. Then all of a sudden just looked shocking and didn't look like he wanted to be there, put on weight. And now he's come back. When he's come off the bench, he's looked exciting. He's tried to do different things. So I think maybe bringing him off the bench, in the coming weeks, maybe an idea for him. Obviously, Rooney's confidence has picked up. Martial, I think he needs to play up top, and his confidence will come flying back. And I'd like to see, Pereira get a chance. I've seen some clips from midweek. He looked outstanding, and if he gets just given half a chance, or told he's going to get a run of games either starting or from the bench, his confidence is going to start flying and be sky high.
I think me and Nick both agree that he's a better prospect than Lingard, Pereira, and we still can't figure out why he hasn't been given that chance.
He seems the type of player who messes up big moments. One-on-ones he messes up. Stupid balls that he gives away, he does it a lot. I'm not a huge fan. I think he's in the team solely based off he's got a little bit of pace.
And the thing is as well...
I'm a bit of work rate.
Yeah. But he's 23 years old.
He's not a chicken.
He isn't a young prospect coming through anymore. He's been out on loan. He's done his time away at Derby.
Could it be the fact that he's had games, in a tough championship, which it is, and at Derby, he played. I think he played quite well.
He was very good at Derby, but that might be his level.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there, Chris, when you mentioned it is his work rate.
I know, and it being rumoured today that Pereira's asked to go out on loan.
That's the rumours. Whether or not that there will be comings or goings at Old Trafford this January, we're still unsure on. But those are the rumours, yeah.
Mm.
I mean, if you're not going to play him, you have to let him go.
Did you see the piece of skill that he did for the under-21s?
Oh, yeah, he was incredible.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant.
Keep it up here on his own.
He can't get a run of games in the team. So
yeah.
I don't blame him for wanting to go.
Neither can matter at the minute.
Well, that's
Yeah.
another issue.
That's an entirely different issue, Chris. But I just want to finish off this week's fan takeover by touching back on the Liverpool game, because there were some claims made by Liverpool fans following it that interested me. I can't say all of them, but there were some fans that rang a certain radio station and said that the team that faced Liverpool at Anfield from United's point of view was the worst United team that they've ever seen at Anfield. I mean, we put it out there saying, do you agree with that opinion? And 54% of fans on this said yes, it's the worst United team they've ever seen.
Still better than theirs, though, isn't it?
That's exactly what I was going to say. What does that say for their side?
Well, it's shocking, isn't it? But 54% of our fans who voted on this poll agreed with them. I mean, is this really the worst we've had at United?
No, not by a long shot.
Absolutely.
In what era?
It's not the worst 11, it's the worst squad.
Well, I mean, even if we were brought in of the Premier League era at the age we're at, so I mean we weren't there back in the the sort of dark days of the sort of of the 70s and so on. But
I vaguely remember pre-Ferguson, and I know they won the cup in '85, but that team were absolutely shocking. They were overweight, they were alcoholics, they were this, that.
I was worried then, Chris. I thought you were about to throw some lack of class into the podcast. I thought some expletives were about to be thrown about United.
No. They were a working man's team.
Yeah.
They weren't a top flight team. They were struggling.
I'd argue, though, Chris, even within the last 10 years, we've had worse United teams on paper.
I think it's the worst squad. It's not the worst 11.
It's not the worst 11. It might be up there with the worst squad.
There's no other options.
There is no other options. I agree with that.
Like if Martial gets injured, where are the goals coming from?
Will Keane.
He scored 5 in his last 2, I think, or 5 in his last 3. So
he's done well for the under-21s as well.
Yeah.
But he's another one. He's 22, 23. So
last chance saloon again.
Yeah.
There you go. But
There's a lot like that, I think, at United at the minute.
There are, yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad that you made a comment about the state of Liverpool getting involved in that, because at Boyne Boy got involved on this and said, they got beat twice by us this season. Embarrassing. It's always great to rub it in, isn't it?
and isn't it 4 shots, 4 goals?
Yes, it is. Yeah, 100%. 100% conversion against Liverpool. Not bad.
And a goalkeeper that's just signed another 5-year contract for him. Wonderful.
There you go. Now Joe's mentioning about Januzaj just before I let you go.
Sorry, just in your ear. Just tickling the idea.
Go on. What do you want to say on Januzaj?
Nothing. I just wondered if there was anything on this wonderful stats piece of paper about Januzaj. Just wanted to know.
He's not in the last chance saloon yet. I think he's got another season after this.
Again, though, against Southampton under-21s midweek.
Very good. Yeah, he played all right.
He
scored
2.
Do you reckon we'll be seeing him back in the squad?
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely do.
Do you want to?
Yeah.
I'd be happy to give him a chance in the squad.
Is he better than Lingard? Yeah.
Yeah,
but Memphis. Well, we all forgetting we have him somewhere.
But here's my thing with Januzaj, and this annoyed me from back on the Aston Villa game away from home where we won 1-0 and he scored the goal, and he was being played for the opening part of the season. Then Louis van Gaal loans him out to Borussia Dortmund with a player in form who's just scored you the winner and he's playing regularly in your team.
Philosophy.
What sort of that message does that send out to someone like Adnan Januzaj?
I mean, I think Januzaj probably have to fill in defence somewhere. I'm sure there's a role out there for him.
Well, Sergio Romero's up front next
We haven't
game,
got a right back because Darmian plays on the left now, so I think we need one of them. So hopefully we can get him somewhere.
I was a big fan of Varela, but he doesn't get in the team anymore.
True.
We have Young at right back.
Need him up
I'd
front.
rather push Young. I'd rather have Young further up.
Well,
but
he's the defender. I think we've all got confused where people play.
I think we had 6
players
players out of position against the Scousers.
Schweinsteiger was made to be in the position he plays now, so that's what's happening at United. We've got a bunch of players who don't know where they actually are anymore. So.
Well, there you go. Well summed up by Joe in the end. Chris, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on for the fan takeover. Thanks for getting involved as always.
Thanks very much.
And we'll speak to you soon.
All right, cheers, guys.
See you later,
Thanks very much.
Thanks,
There you go.
mate.
The thoughts of Chris on everything Manchester United on this week's Fan Takeover. If you agree or disagree with anything that we had to say, you know where to find us. We're at WeFollowUnited on Twitter, and we're also in the comment section below on the video. Next up, Joe's back. We're going to go through the news of the social world. That's coming up next. Looking then at the lighter side of things and into some of the news that's been popping up over the world of social media. Earlier this week, we asked you, based on what you hear from us each week on the podcast and over Twitter, who of us from the Red Devil Chronicle would you most trust to manage Manchester United? Results of this have come in, and the poll is now closed, and I can confirm the results are as follows. With 16% of the vote, Nick's upset a lot of people.
What, is that what? Seriously?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's my Rooney bashing, isn't it?
It clearly is. With 31%, without the Rooney bashing, Joe comes in second.
I think that's only because
And
Rooney's played well.
the people's pleaser.
And the people's pleaser
Andy.
somehow takes the win with 53% of
Who
the
you
vote.
paid off for that?
A lot of people.
He's been making like
lot
his
of
own
people.
little Twitter accounts. He's got about 7 now, I
I've
think.
been very busy this week. But yeah, interesting thoughts there. Now, why would we ask a question like that? Because we are going to find out which of us are the best manager for the club. We're going to see who can guide United to the highest league finish on our new feature, which we're going to go by the name of the Weekly FIFA.
Or Football Manager.
Or possibly Football Manager, we're undecided. Essentially, the idea is behind the challenge is that the three of us are going to take up a Manchester United team. We're going to pick the players, the formations, the style of play, and we're going to catch up by the end of the season.
I wouldn't trust any of us, even me perfectly
I
honest.
wouldn't trust any of us either. But we're going to see who can do the best out of the three of us and see if any of us give it a better shot than Louis van Gaal has so far. So, as I say, in terms of the way it's going to play out, we choose the formations played, we choose what style of play, we choose the players, so...
Style of play.
Clearly,
it had to be in there, didn't it?
It has to be. It's Louis van Gaal's way or no way, I'm afraid, so we have to have a style.
Is there any philosophy in there?
Let's go into sort of manifestos and early ideas, Joe. I mean, how would you run your club when we get this feature going?
Rooney.
Building your team around Rooney.
Rooney in goal, Rooney up front. We've all seen that advert where Rooney played really well.
Yeah,
it could work. No, I don't know actually. I've not had to think about it. I mentioned briefly yesterday to you that I would just do the Louis van Gaal way, as I've just said before in the last link, and just play players in the most ridiculous positions and just see what happens.
That's an interesting way of playing it out. See how that works out.
Just keep replacing young talent with more young talent.
Imagine doing something crazy like playing Blind in midfield.
No, don't be silly, Nick. He's left back or mid or striker. I don't know where he plays anymore.
How would you set this up, Nick? What are you thinking going forward with this? How are you going to gain success in this field?
Rooney bench.
I
To
suspected
Norwich.
that might be the
On
case.
Norwich's bench, your ass.
They just lost their... Yeah, I don't know. Cameron Jerome, maybe. We'll swap. No, I'd play Martel up front.
Right.
Then I'd probably look to Ashley Young at the right wing.
Yes. Now there's something I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
Ashley Young, let's give him a go further up the field.
No.
Yeah, he's not
on the right. He's a left winger.
He was arguably one of our best players of the season last year. And
He was.
And now he's getting thrown at the
but
back
on the left.
for an underperforming Mata, very underperforming Memphis.
Yeah, but to make Ashley Young work, there's only one person you have to play next with him, and we all know who that is. That's Fellaini.
No, I disagree with
Ashley Young
that.
can't hit across, so you can just float one in the general direction of the
Against
box.
Swansea, his end product was very good. He set up the Martial goal. He put 2 on a plate for Rooney that he obviously missed. But I think Young's end product's been improving, and I think it's rightly been criticised in the past. But I think he deserves that chance going forward. So I agree with Nick on that, and I'll probably be giving Ashley Young a bit of a go further forward in my team. I'll tell you why I won't be playing him on the left though, because it's not FIFA 12 and finesse shots don't work as well anymore. So if we do it by FIFA, we can't use him there.
In terms of build up, what are we talking? Are we talking a slow build up, a fast paced one, a counter attack?
I'm
direct, hoofing the ball up.
I'm going to go for it the Klopp way. I'm going to press high and
shoot from 40 yards out,
and probably shoot from 40 yards out. Yeah, but I'm going to press high. I'm going to look to put pressure on the opposition
totally
all the time.
Agree. Yep.
So, to make this clear,
yeah,
there is no summer transfers.
No.
There won't be, so we're going to have to play it exactly the way that Louis van Gaal chose to play it up to this stage of the season. The only players that we can add to the squad will be those that are signed in January, if anyone is signed in January, that is.
Well, then nobody. So
nobody. So we've got the squad.
Can we bring Januzaj back in January? Is that allowed?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
Yeah, we'll allow that. That's fine.
Send him straight back to somewhere else.
What do we do on Luke Shaw, though?
If he's available, you play him.
I think we said we played him until the PSV game.
I mean, do you do it that realistically? Like, do we have to drop him after PSV?
I probably not got the observations to do that, if I'm being perfectly honest, Andy. I'd
Looks
probably
like
end up just playing him for the whole season.
Looks like Luke Shaw's in then. So we'll go with the team that Louis van Gaal had available to him at the start of the season. We'll play it that way, and I think we're going to look to do something in the region of about 3 games a week until we catch up, and then we'll hope to end our season at the end of this season and see how we get on compared against Louis van Gaal.
Just simulating, of course.
Possibly. I mean, we yet to figure out the ins and outs of it, but hopefully we'll have an update on this for you next week. It's something that we are looking to get into, just something a bit different. So let us know how if you've got any ideas on how you'd want us to set up, if you'd set up any differently to what you're hearing, do let us know. Get in touch, give us some ideas, because we're pretty clueless. But for some reason, you've given us some votes to trust us as the United managers.
Well, by their vote, you should win.
I should do. I don't think that's going to be the case.
You never know.
Not particularly confident on this one because I don't like United's current squad. But we'll see. We'll have updates for you on this next week.
It's going to be a very angry video, isn't it?
It's going to be very angry. But I'm going to move on with something that I know Nick has been itching to talk about. And this is a little bit controversial, which is why I've left it.
Which is why I got 16%, Andy.
Which is probably why you got 16%. And that might well be plummeting after this one.
You paid them off a little bit more, but yeah, okay.
Absolutely. Now, how to solve a problem like Ander.
Yeah, massive problem.
You want to have a chat about where he slots into the United jigsaw. Talk to me.
He's been at the club 18 months, 2 years. What is his best position?
I mean, you mentioned this to me on Sunday, and it was very left field. I hadn't seen this comment coming at all.
I was watching the Liverpool game, and I didn't think he was that great. Obviously, albeit all the other players were awful.
Yeah,
but I don't understand what his best position is. He's been at the club a season and a half, and is he a centre midfielder? He played defensive midfield very well against Chelsea last season.
He did, yeah.
He's played a number 10 role. He's even had a chance out on the wing. He's a £32 million midfielder, and I don't know where to play him.
The fallout starts here, does it? Is this where we start to unravel Herrera?
I'm a huge fan, but I just think you should. If you're at Manchester United, you should be nailing down a place by now. And he's not. He's in and out of the team. He gets chucked on a number 10 role. He then gets put further back. Whose
fault's that though? Is it Herrera's or is it Van Gaal's?
Well, I think it's down to. I think it's partly down to Van Gaal because we have our theories that Van Gaal doesn't like the Spanish, don't we? On the Red Devil Chronicle,
it's a bit of a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, we know about his diary. We know what he sat writing during games. He has a hatred of the Spanish.
Puta.
Yeah, that's our thought. So I think it's more down to Louis van Gaal, though, in all seriousness. I don't think he rates him as a player because he takes risks on the ball and because he gives the ball away more often than Louis van Gaal would like.
Often, though.
He does at times. But I think that's why there's the argument for why he's been put into the number 10 role, because at least when you're doing it in that position, you've got players to cover.
My favourite position that I've seen him play, where I thought he was absolutely brilliant, was defensive midfield against Chelsea.
I never thought
I'd say that. I thought he was brilliant in that game.
I don't know if he's capable of doing that role full time, but if you're not going to play a midfield 3, which I don't think United are going to revert back to, that'd be my preference. Have him in a 3 with someone like
Schweinsteiger and Schneiderlin.
Exactly.
That'd be my preferred 3. Yeah.
If you're not going to do it that way, why not give it a go and play Schneiderlin and Herrera as your sitting midfield too?
I'd love to see it. Yeah.
I mean, it'd be lovely to try it out because if that works, that's a superb midfield to build on.
Yeah. I think we have the same problem with Herrera that the England team had with Paul Scholes. They don't know where to play him. Scholesy was one of the best English midfielders we've ever produced, but he used to play on the left wing for England, or right wing, because we didn't have a winger at the time. You wasted a talent like that on the wing, and I think we're doing the same thing with Herrera. We don't know where to play the guy. And he ends up getting played out of position, or a position that doesn't really suit him. He gets taken off at like the hour mark, and he gets replaced with idiots like Fellaini. And it's a total waste of his talent. And I think obviously part of it is to blame Van Gaal, but another part of it, a little bit of part of it, has to come at Herrera's door. He has to perform when he gets put in the position that he wants to be in.
No, it's very true, and he does need to be more careful on the ball. But if you want creative talent, you have to accept with players like Ross Barkley at Everton, they are going to give the ball away more often in doing so. But question to you, Nick, because I know you fired this one at me earlier.
Okay.
What's your thoughts? Is Ander Herrera then good enough for Manchester United?
He's good enough, but the way he's playing now, he's not. And I don't know whether... I think there's better positions that he can play in. Like you just mentioned, I think he'd be better with Schneiderlin next to each other. And maybe in a midfield three with Basti. But yeah, at the moment, I don't think he's playing good enough for United. I think you can get more out of him. I think he's got more talent than that.
There you go. An interesting debate to get stirring up. So stir the pot with us. Let us know on the comments section. Is Ander Herrera good enough for United? Where's his best position? Should he be in the first team squad? And we just got a bit of a look into the mind of Louis van Gaal, Nick. We're not doing transfer talk this week, even though the window is back open. You wouldn't know it, would you? In terms of doing business in January, Louis van Gaal's mind boggles me at times, because he's come out and said in the press that he doesn't think United need to do any business in January.
That's probably a lie, if we're being honest.
I mean, usually I'd think it was a lie, but with the way Van Gaal's mind works, I think it might be genuine.
Oh, he could be senile, yeah.
And then he adds to that he also thinks that we're in the title race without doing business to improve that squad.
I think
we can't be.
From two different angles. I think he said the comments about the title race to inspire his team. Obviously, he wants to build momentum. I don't think he actually genuinely believes that, because I don't think any United fan would actually believe we're in the title race at the moment. And in terms of January business, I can sort of understand why we're not doing anything. There's no one really available of adequate talent that United could buy, unless we pay ridiculous money, stupid money, and then there's no guarantee they're going to perform. So I think we could go out and spend, say, 35, 40 million on Mane. He's not worth that.
No.
If he comes to the club, is he really going to help us challenge for a title?
Well, he's only got 3 goals this season, so he's not exactly chipping in.
It's a huge investment for such a little return. He's not a genuinely world-class player. So I think you could splash 50, 60 million on Mahrez, but there's no guarantee he's going to come to United and just rip it up. So I can sort of understand it. You know, it annoys me to say it, but I can understand why United are very quiet this window.
Well, I'm glad you've explained that to me, Nick, because I thought Louis had turned to a stronger liquor than his red wine, to be honest with you. The two sort of lines sort of were so conflicting in the way they work. And yes, I get what you're saying in terms of the quality that you're getting for the price that you're outlaying. But at the same time, if you genuinely do want to go, for a title race, and even if you want to get into the top 4, in my opinion, the way I've always looked at transfers coming in is, does it improve the players that we currently have in that position? And I think there are answers that would be yes in certain situations that we could sign. So someone like Felipe Anderson, I think, would be better right now than someone like Juan Mata, for example.
No, I disagree a little bit. I'm very, very sceptical about that.
Do you think we should cash in on Juan Mata?
No.
No?
No. Again, this comes into the Ander Herrera debate, is we're not getting the best out of Mata. He's playing on the right wing. He's got no pace.
But Nick, the reason is because we don't have anyone. This is my point. We don't have anyone of adequate quality to play that sort of inside forward or.
I'd rather go
winger.
for someone like Mane than we'd pay similar money, but he's Premier League
fine, but
proven.
Would Mane not be a more suitable player then? Or Mahrez not be more suitable than playing Mata in that position?
That's what I accept that. But what I'm saying is,
so on that basis,
Felipe Anderson,
you could argue that
he's a great player in Serie A.
Yeah,
he's Brazilian.
Yep,
he's coming to a league that is far superior, and he's Brazilian.
No,
and he's going to cost a lot of money. So I'd rather invest that in someone like Mane. But again, the same. Foibles fall with Mane. Is he going to step up? Probably not. So.
No guarantees with any transfer, Nick. We've always said this, but
it's a massive risk for such a huge amount of money.
I understand, but we've signed a £750 million deal just with Adidas at £75 million per season. Why is that money? Why can that money not?
Why don't we offer Bayern Munich 120 million for Lewandowski?
Well, I don't know. I'm not Ed Woodward, unfortunately. Otherwise, I would have done.
It's silly money, but you know what you're getting.
I'd have thrown it in and got Lewandowski, whatever the price.
Potentially the best number 9 on the planet right now, or Aubameyang. Why don't we offer Dortmund?
I'd love Aubameyang.
Without being disrespectful, are a selling club.
Yeah, they are, yeah.
If we offer them 85, 90 million for Aubameyang right now...
It'd be stupid money, but it'd get the player that you actually wanted.
Yeah, so rather than spend 35, 40 million on a player that you don't think is a massive risk, why not just double it and spend on a genuinely quality player?
No qualms with that. Joe, what's your stance on the current transfer goings on?
I think the January window, you're always going to play double for what you would play in the summer window. That's why I have the same issues as Nick in one sense. That I kind of see where he's coming from. That I don't think I think saying we don't need to do business
we definitely
is silly.
do. Yeah.
I think saying that it'd be overly expensive for the club. We may as well write off another season and go because we I don't think we can contend this year. I don't think we will be able to.
Exactly. I don't understand. I wouldn't see the point of spending 40 million on someone like Anderson.
Will one player make a massive difference? Will they lead us to glory? No, I don't think so. I think it's more than that. I think secretly we're all waiting for a few players to retire, and so we can bring some fresh blood in. But I think that we're just kind of holding on to these players that we're having to please because I don't think we know what to do with them all. I think we've got too many players that are just not good enough anymore, and I don't think we know what to do with them. They were good in the
incredible.
prime.
After getting rid of so much deadwood in the summer, to be left with the squad that we've got, it's a phenomenal achievement.
I mean, some of them deadwood we got rid of, like Van Persie. I mean, that
wasn't necessary.
That was
never ever agreed with that. Didn't agree with ever going either. But quick question for you, Andy.
Go on.
You obviously highlighted Felipe Anderson.
Yeah.
If we were to spend say 37 million on him
right.
and 100 grand a week wages, so total investment of around 55 million.
Yep.
Would we become title challengers?
No. Not with someone like Felipe Anderson.
So is there any point on signing him?
I understand that argument. Like I say, my personal preference.
Would we just end up with another young? Another just the same similar style player, same level.
You could well do.
We could be totally wrong. He could come to the league and he could be better than Hazard. We don't hold the future. We don't know what's going to happen. But I just think in the January transfer window, it's too much of a risk for such a little return. I'd rather pay over the odds in the summer.
I
for
understand
genuine
that.
world class.
As I say, my personal preference, and I get your points of view, is just simply that if you've got players available, and I'm not even saying necessarily Felipe Anderson, I think players like Mane or Mahrez, Premier League proven just as good. Even Musa outside the Premier League again.
Oh, we were impressed with him,
from CSKA.
CSKA, sorry, yeah.
I think in terms of my personal preference, I've just always looked at it as would it improve in the position that we've got. And right now, one matter, as you rightly say, played out of position, not utilised, not playing well as a result of it.
If I had to buy one player in January, I had to buy them and I had to pay over the odds for him, I'd probably go for Mahrez right now, if I'm being honest. Because he operates on the right wing for Leicester.
In terms of realistic signings, yeah.
He's very skillful.
I don't think Leicester would sell him, though.
No, I don't think they would.
I don't think there's no point for them. I mean, I had a point raised to me the other day.
We'd have to pay ridiculous money to get him.
But even in the Premier League, I had a point brought to me the other day that none of the clubs need the money. I mean, you look to offshore teams.
Would Leicester turn down 50 million?
Yeah, but Leicester have got more money than teams like Bayern. I mean, they're close to them.
Leicester
are
a very cash-rich club, as are a lot of teams in the Premier League, and they're only going to get richer.
That's the thing. So we're all financially as soon as the loans have gone, I don't actually know what's going to happen to the Premier League.
Could Leicester offer Mahrez 150 grand a week wages, for example?
Technically they could, but would it be going against what their principles are, possibly? Would they be willing to do it? I don't know if they would.
I don't think they'd sell him, though. I don't think there'd be any point in...
I don't think he'd want to come, personally. he's challenging for a title.
More to the point. Yeah, very good point.
Rather than arguing whether Leicester would accept it, would Mahrez want to come?
Yeah, it's fair comment. I think we'll leave it there on the news of the social week side of things. Let us know what you think on any of the debates we've just had. Will United sign anyone? Do we need to? Is it the best time of year to do it? There seems to be this rumour it isn't, but we did sign one matter in a January window. We've done the same with Vidic, so there are options out there. It's just whether or not you're willing to take the gamble, I guess. We're going to end the show this week with the weekend preview. We've got Southampton visiting Old Trafford. Weekend preview up next. It's the Saturday 3 o'clock kickoff. It's Southampton visiting Old Trafford. Going to have a quick look through some of the stats, some of the figures behind both teams, where we're up to at the moment, how Southampton are going to threaten us, what we need to do to threaten them. And of course, we'll end with score predictions. Do get involved in our Premier League Predictor League. Comment section below. Just put your score in there. It's 1 point if you get the correct result. And if you get the correct scoreline as well, it's the full 3 points. So do get involved. Nick, I just want to point out something to you before we delve into this any further about where Manchester United are up to. First of all, I think we've got a fairly good idea, but United currently 10th in the form table at home. 2 wins in our last 6 at Old Trafford. 1 defeat and 3 draws. Now, how disappointed are you when I reel off the list of teams in those last 6, which are, fair enough, Manchester City, but beyond that, West Brom, West Ham, Norwich, Chelsea and Swansea. How disappointed are you with 2 wins from those 6?
I'm not surprised. we've been awful this season. You could have put Barca and Real Madrid in there. It wouldn't have surprised me. Yeah, obviously very disappointed. But again, I'm not surprised by it. How we've been absolutely awful. So I can't really say any more about that.
It's just shocking though, dropping so many points and one of those defeats as well. The only defeat in the last 6 came against Norwich as well.
This comes again back to the fear factor, Andy. Look at those teams, barring City. I wouldn't even say Chelsea this season. They were there for the taking.
They were.
But you look at West Brom, West Ham, Norwich, Swansea. These are teams that aren't scared of us.
Yeah.
Whereas under Fergie, they would come, stick 10 men behind the ball and pray for a 0-0 draw.
Yeah. And quite often they'd walk away without it as well.
A fear factor takes years to build. It takes weeks to dismantle. That's the problem.
Dropping too many points at home after a very good start, I might add, at home to the season. It really has slipped in terms of form. Dropping points left, right and centre with too many draws against lesser teams and getting beat by Norwich as well. What an absolutely shocking result that was. To compare against Southampton's current form, some good news coming in, Nick. They have lost 4 in a row away from home. So the wheels seem to have come off when they travel away from St Mary's.
I think the transfers are finally telling now.
I think so.
Like last season, they got away with losing a few key players because a few youngsters stepped up. But I thought losing Schneiderlin was huge for them. I personally think he's the best defensive midfielder in the league. He's better than Matic. And, who else have you got really? Coquelin? No.
There aren't that many good defensive midfielders.
I don't think
Premier
City
League.
have got one. Fernandinho.
Fernandinho is okay.
Yeah, but I'd rather have Schneiderlin. We don't lose when he's in the team.
It's very true.
And he's missed huge games for us because Van Gaal, for some reason, must think he's Spanish.
Yeah, nationalities mixed up clearly. I don't know.
Oh, he's a brilliant player. He's one of my favourite players.
He is a superb player. Very understated.
Well, he does the dirty work.
He does.
Like when we were watching the match against Liverpool, he was always trying to throw himself about. So
absolutely. Now their losses in the last 4 away from home have come against Manchester City, which I think is understandable. That City are tremendous at home. Crystal Palace, West Ham, and Norwich. So they're losing against some not particularly great teams themselves. And if you look back, only 1 win in their last 6 away games, and that was away at Sunderland.
I think they're there for the taking on Saturday.
It seems that way, doesn't it?
Like, I don't think they're particularly great this season. I think Koeman's under a lot of pressure right now. But on the same time, I don't think the club or the board at the Southampton have helped him. They've sold a lot of his key players. But yeah, we have to beat them. Must-win game for United. Absolutely,
100%. Now, obviously, we have to take confidence from the way Southampton's form has gone away from home. How would you look to set up against Southampton, Nick, on Saturday? How would you continue that miserable away form? What sort of team would you look to set up?
I'd go for it. I'd literally go, gun-ho, I'd go for it. I wouldn't play Young at right back. I'd look to bring Young Varela in at right back. I'd probably go, obviously, the usual Smalling and Blind in the middle.
Yep.
I'd probably go
Darmian.
He could potentially. I'd probably give Borthwick Jackson another run. I thought he played all right against Liverpool. I've knocked him a bit because he's not very quick, but he did all right when he came on. So yeah, I'd probably go Borthwick Jackson. I'd go Schneiderlin, obviously, in midfield next to Herrera.
So you're going with the 2 that we talked about.
Yeah.
I can agree with that.
Young would be on the right wing for me. Januzaj, I'd probably bring him in the number 10 role.
Okay.
I'd have Martial up front.
Who's going left?
I'm going to do something crazy now. I'm going to put Rooney up front and put Martial on the left.
You're not.
Yeah.
After all that?
Yeah.
Well, there you
Just
go.
because he scored a few.
You heard it here first.
There's no one else though, is he?
No.
I was going to say Memphis, but no, he's not done it. So
just sad to see Martial out of position again, though, isn't it?
I hate it. Yeah,
not utilised in the right way.
But at the same time, I'd definitely give Januzaj an introductory back into it, and I'd probably give Herrera a sub appearance as well.
Yeah. That's a fair comment. Now, in terms of the threat that Southampton carry to us,
Herrera, sorry.
They have scored 3 more than us in the league this season. Not saying a great deal.
Doesn't surprise me.
They did, though, put 4 past leaders Arsenal, albeit I know they were at home, but put 4 against the league leaders in Arsenal, and they've only conceded 1 more goal than us in the league this season, and we have been fairly tight at the back in general terms. The only game I can think of where the floodgates were partially open was Arsenal away. Other than that, we've been fairly tight.
They've got a few players that will cause a threat. Obviously, is Mane's fit? I don't know if he is or not, but he'll be a threat. Pella will be there, integral key role up front if he's fit. James Ward-Prowse, very good on the ball. If he gets on the ball, he will open us up.
Scored a tremendous goal as well at the weekend just gone.
Yeah, and obviously they've got Tadic, who I like as a footballer, very good. But
now, some of these threats you mentioned, Nick, I want to mention a couple of things on here because you'd think Pella and Mane would be the main two. When you think of attacking threats from Southampton, they are the two names that spring out. Interesting thing to throw at you here when I was looking back. In terms of what has happened to Pella and Mane in the last sort of couple of months, and I think Mane's head's been turned clearly from his attitude. But Mane's not scored a goal in the Premier League since October the 25th.
He's got pace, though.
He has got pace.
Anyone with pace is a threat against us.
He's not scoring.
Oh, yeah, I agree, yeah.
And Graziano Pella's not scored a league goal since November the 1st.
This goes back to what he did to us at St Mary's, if you remember the game. For that first 20-25 minutes, it was scary every time he went near the ball. That's the only reason I brought him up.
But great timing, though, to hit two players that are completely out of form.
Oh, completely out of form.
If we
One
go
of them
in
with the
and
head
batter
turned.
them, exactly.
So,
if we can get a good start to the game from whoever plays left back, whether that's Borthwick, Jackson, Young, Darmian, whoever that is, if they can put in a couple of challenges early doors against Mane, and if Smalling can put himself up against Pella early doors, I think they'll both disappear from the game very early.
I think we have to go for it. There's no other way. You can't be defensive against a poor... They've been out of form. They've got players that are out of form, potentially with the heads turned. They're not in a great run of form at the moment. They're there for the taking, Andy, so we have to go for it.
Absolutely. Now, Tadic, of course, will be a threat, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
He scored the goal, the winner, the only time that Southampton have won in the last 10 league meetings between the two teams.
You are a stat man tonight.
I am a stat man. United have won 7 of them. There have been 2 draws in the others, just to round that stat off. But Tadic will be a threat, of course. And someone else that's sort of turned it on out of nowhere is Shane Long recently.
He's a good player.
He is a very good player.
Highly, yeah.
He was cast to one side, but he's come back into the team recently.
Very high work rate.
He has, and he's scoring the goals again. He got 2 against Arsenal. He got 1 against Watford last week as well. So he is getting back amongst the goals.
He fights for everything. Every loose ball, every ball with no hope on the end, he'll chase it down.
And I almost think they will put Shane Long up front against us over Pella potentially. And I think he'll be more of a threat.
I could see them playing Shane Long in a wing position. Maybe running at Borthwick, Jackson or Darmian, whoever's playing. Yeah.
Possibly so. So with what we've just gone through then, Nick, as I say, Southampton only winning 1 of the last 10 games between the two clubs, so not a great win rate. We have battered him in the majority of games that we played against him in the league. How confident are we feeling going into this? What's your score prediction for the game?
3-0 United.
3-0 to Manchester United.
I think after that Liverpool win, they're there for the taking.
Well, there you go. Joe, I'm going to bring you back on this. Nick, he's feeling very confident on what we've just discussed.
Andy,
he is. He's almost Chris Clay optimist.
I kept my microphone muted during that laughter, Nick.
Did you expect like 2-1 Southampton?
I was just listening along thinking, oh no, what's he going to say? It's going to be something ridiculous. And then 3-0 was thrown. I thought, that's just not on. It's never going to happen. Never.
Well, throwing it out to you then. I mean, I've just been saying to Nick, in terms of games against Southampton, we perform well. So where are you standing, Joe? What's your score prediction for Saturday?
4-0 United. I'm joking.
That's a stretch too far.
No, I think it's going to be. I've said this 100 times now. I may as well just get a recording of me saying it. It's going to be very boring first half, because we've just proven to ourselves that we can't attack without compromising the defence. So I'm debating with 2-1 United.
2-1 United.
Very safe. That.
Very safe.
It's good safe. Safety's at net.
I'm going to go.
He's going to bet against United for the first time ever.
I'm not backing against United in this game. Like Nick said, it is a must win, and with the way confidence is at Southampton in the players that are supposed to be in form at the moment, I think with the guesses you've gone for, because I want to be different and I do want to get the points, I'm going to play even safer and go for the 1-0. I am. 1-0 Manchester United.
Goal time, 85th minute. That'll be it.
85th minute.
It'll be Rooney off the back of his head from a cross from Ashley Young.
What they didn't mean?
Yeah.
Well, you heard it here first. No point watching the game now. Nick's just told you what's going to happen. So you can catch the highlights on Match of the Day Saturday night. That's all you need to watch.
Yeah.
And that's all we've got time for this week's show. It's been an excellent first show back in the studio for the new year, celebrating 2016. Let's hope that it's a better year for Manchester United after the fairly poor 2015. Thanks as always for listening, and do please get involved in the comments section below or at We Follow United with any opinions that you have, different or the same, and let us know why. So, with the Saints visiting Old Trafford, let's hope we send them marching without any points back to Southampton.